All right, I'm here with Addie Walter, who is in Miami, moving to Kentucky. Quite the change in scenery, I bet, Addie.
Yeah, a year and a half ago we moved to Miami from New Hampshire, so that was quite the jump as well.
Are you one of those nomadic couples? Is that what goes on?
Um, my husband not so much. Well, he has to be because he's married to me, but I am. I'm definitely someone I don't stick around in one spot for too long.
Gotcha. Well, the big reason I wanted to have you on here is there's been a whole lot of chat within the group. It's probably, other than how do you figure out alcohol, one of the most common questions I get, and that's about being some sort of vegetarian and flexible eater. In addition to that, you recently posted in the group how you basically live on a pretty tight budget when it comes to food. So we'll chat about that also, but the first thing I want to dive into is what's it like being a vegetarian? And we'll distinguish the difference between vegetarian, pescatarian, vegan, etc., and being a flexible eater, because you are in fact both. So first thing, let's define it. What's the difference between a pescatarian, vegetarian, and vegan?
Pescatarians still eat fish. I have never been a fish eater, so I don't know if there's any, like they eat certain fish and not others. I just don't eat any of it. Vegetarians can still eat animal products like dairy and eggs, but they don't eat meat or lard, those types of byproducts they wouldn't eat. Vegans don't eat any of it. Strict vegans don't even eat honey. They don't wear wool, like anything that requires an animal to produce it in any way, it's off the table.
Right. So they're like the extremists of the non-meat eating world. Yeah, I've seen like no, those are the people where you walk outside of a jacket store and they throw blood on you. But
yeah, those are the I'd like to think that there's the little V vegan and the big V vegan. Little
right.
V vegans don't eat animal products, but it's just like a diet choice. Big
Right.
V vegans, that's a whole other world.
You know, when I saw your response, we put up a post recently on our fan page. You know, somebody wrote to us, and you know, and those that don't know me well enough may not realize I was probably more of a pescatarian now, based on your definition, for about 3 years. You know, a decade ago, but I didn't eat meat. Ate some fish here and there, and you know, so I believe in it. I think there's two different reasons to be doing it: ethical and health. And my personal opinion is if you're doing it for health reasons, you should be checking if that's the smartest thing for you. Because I found it wasn't, like I developed anemia, I was lacking energy. And in all fairness, I think most, you know, I wasn't a flexible eater at the time. And most people, when they decide to eat this lifestyle, do it in a dumb way, for lack of a better word.
There's a lot of pasta involved.
Exactly. It was like pasta and fake meats and potato chips and that type of stuff. But it's like, well, where's your, no wonder I had no energy. Where's my protein coming from, etc. So,
well, you're all taught that meat's the only place to get any of those things. So it's really hard if you decide. I mean, I'm lucky in the fact that I haven't eaten meat since I was a very young child. So it's just kind of the way that I'm used to it. But if you're an adult and you've eaten meat to get your protein your whole life, when you become a vegetarian, you just cut it out. So then you're left with carbs and fat, and that's it.
Like the opposite of someone who decides to go low carb. They're basically deciding to go low protein.
Exactly. Come here, Chibuk. Sorry, my daughter's just calling me. Here.
That's all right. So
life having a 2-year-old.
I think the biggest question we get from vegetarians, vegans, etc., that want to do flexible eating and make this change is now all of a sudden, you know, even our smallest female are going to get 80, 90, 100 grams of protein. How do you get your protein in on a daily basis? What are your tips and tricks? What are your go-tos if someone's coming to you right now saying, help me do this?
For the first probably like 2 or 3 months, I definitely went back on like protein drinks and things like that. It was just, I had to kind of reframe. I mean, I always have at least like 100 grams of protein a day, but I'm up at like 150 right now. So trying to get that in, but then not go way over my carbs. I mean, it was difficult. Joe, you're fine. Just go watch your show.
Because that's the hard part. I tell people, right? Like So the beauty of flexible eating is I can choose the foods I want to fit in other foods. So for example,
Exactly.
I want a donut tonight. I know I need to eat leaner meats to save some of that fat and carbs. But with being a vegetarian, a lot of your protein comes with carbohydrates. So the challenge is, how do you get those foods you love but still hit your protein? So you mentioned like a supplement. Any specific supplements out there that you recommend?
I don't actually supplement that often anymore. I've kind of been doing this since the end of July. I've kind of actually found a pretty good medium where I don't eat protein that's not from an actual food source all that often, probably a couple times a week if I want to eat something really ridiculous. But I just drink low carb protein that has, 25 grams of protein, and I'll make a quick little shake out of it. Or sometimes I posted in the group a couple days ago that I'll do like a protein hot chocolate. But I book this in ahead of time. So if I know I want to eat a donut or I want to have pizza or something, I will book that in the night before or right when I get up in the morning, so I can see like how in the hole in my carbs am I versus how many grams of protein do I still have left over. So that way, right off the bat, I just get the protein. I get at least a good chunk of what I need to make up for out of the way. I'll just add it to my coffee or something in the morning.
So when you say add it, what are you referring to? Like you didn't say you don't supplement, but what are you adding to your, what protein are
I'll
you
just
getting?
add a scoop of protein. I think mine is like 25 grams of protein in a scoop. I'll add it to a cup of cold brew coffee in the morning instead of adding creamer or instead of adding sweetener as well. And then I'll just drink that in the morning. So it kind of gets me ahead a little bit so that I have some more wiggle room, being that a lot of food sources when you're a vegetarian, like you said, every ounce of protein you get still comes with some carbs on the other end. It's really hard to avoid it completely. So sometimes I will do that. I've been really doing a lot of lower fat Greek yogurts, and I do eat a lot of egg whites, like a lot of egg whites. So that is the other way that I balance that out. If I don't want to drink a shake, I eat a lot of egg whites for dinner in various different ways. But
So
it
egg
balances.
whites, some sort of powder that you mix in depending on what your preference is, whether it's hot chocolate or just with some milk.
Yep.
Any other specific sources for protein? And then I have a question about those egg whites.
Yeah. I on occasion, I don't do it. Once again, it's kind of like with the protein powders. I limit my soy intake, which makes that's a whole other level from being vegetarian. I do not eat soy on a regular basis. So I probably only do soy maybe once or twice a week. But that does help on those days because then I know I'm automatically going to get some extra protein. So it kind of gives me once again, a little bit more wiggle room where I can add some other carbs that I maybe can't normally fit into my day because I'm trying to balance it with beans, which are already super high carb, and trying to figure that out. But yeah, I'm one of those people that restricts themselves in ways that just makes it more difficult.
Yeah, so you're talking about being a vegetarian that limits your soy, which is a huge, that's the primary ways do get their protein, whether it's tofu, tempeh, etc. So you're talking a ton of egg whites.
Probably almost every day I have like 150 grams of egg whites, which still isn't necessarily a huge amount, but I go through a lot of egg whites.
So what are your different methods for cooking those egg whites?
Usually I don't really care to have a ton of variety in foods I don't necessarily want to eat. I just need to eat them to make sure I hit my protein. But I like to spiralize sweet potato, and I'll saute the sweet potato a little bit, put the egg whites over it, and add some hot sauce, and it adds that extra texture because egg whites have obviously they have a little bit of an odd texture to them. So it'll add a little bit of extra texture there, so I'm not just swallowing it. Of course, there are other times I will hard boil eggs and pull the egg yolk out and then just swallow the egg white as quickly as possible when I have like 10 grams of protein and it's 10:30 at night.
So you are one of those people that basically eat your food for fuel.
I eat my protein for fuel for the most part because I really enjoy sweet things and I really enjoy food that isn't necessarily like the easiest to fit in when you have to also get in 150 grams of protein every day. But yeah, so if there's protein I need to eat and I don't want to fit it into my day, I will just eat for fuel because for me, I get to eat for fuel right now, but that means that I get to eat a donut later. It means I get to have pancakes for dinner or something. It means I get to do something I want to do, something that I'm used to doing as a vegetarian, those really like starchy foods that I've always loved to eat. I still get to do that. Sometimes it just means, you know, taking one for the team and eating a bowl of egg whites that isn't so delicious.
So, you know, that's a good mindset. I don't think you're basically saying protein dictates how much you enjoy.
Oh, sorry, you're going out there for a second.
That's what I just said. You know, in addition to that, you still there? Damn it. She fell off the call. So Roz, while we're waiting for her to come back, you're listening to this. What's something you took? What's something you took from that though? Because she's basically saying, "Come on over here."
I'd like to know about her other sources of protein. I mean, it sounds like egg white is predominant. I don't have my face ready yet today.
You're always beautiful. So, right, you know, that would be one thing. Here, it sounds like it's coming back on. I was pulling Roz in just in the meantime.
Hi.
Hi, I'm back. Sorry about that.
It's okay, but basically what we were summarizing is you're basically eating your protein for the fuel that you need for your body, and your carbs and fat become your fun foods.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, sometimes I manage to work those proteins, and I'm trying and trying more so now that I'm really good at hitting my numbers, and it's honestly not even hard anymore. I'm trying to start pushing those proteins more so back into food I actually like to eat, so that I stop having like, ugh, protein is like what I have to do and carbs are what I want to do. So I'm trying to work it in more often, but yeah, that's a pretty accurate summation of how I like to eat.
So how is this different from what you were doing prior to flexible eating? Because I think that's the question a lot of people have is, as a vegetarian, great, but now I need to eat within these parameters. You can go back to work if you need to. Now I need to eat within these parameters. What changed? Was it just the fact that you make this effort to get your protein in?
For me, it was a sheer volume thing. I very much so have always been an emotional eater. So I'm someone who has always eaten just because I feel like eating. I've always been a heavier person. I've never been super thin. I've never been small, much smaller than I am now. So I've always been the person that I'll eat dinner, and then if I get upset, I'll eat more. And I didn't really have a frame of reference as to what was normal versus like, because I never really had the nutrition growing up either. It was just you eat when you want to eat. It doesn't really matter what or how much. But having my numbers gives me a really good idea of really hungry right now. So look at my numbers, and I've gotten in 100 grams of protein by 5 o'clock. I'm like, there's no way I'm actually hungry right now. Am I just bored? Am I bored? Am I stressed out? And I'll give myself 20 minutes. And if I'm still hungry, well, then I figure out a way to make it fit. If I'm not, which I'm usually not, I just go about my day. So for me, it's just having the numbers on paper, giving me a solid, this is what you need to do, not kind of the wishy-washy, which is not a bad thing, but for me it is. The, you know, intuitive eating once. My body doesn't know what it's talking about. So I had to this is really helping me train it actually need versus what I want to have in that given moment.
That's
or
great.
boredom. I eat out of boredom a lot. I'm the person, like, I'll sit and I don't know what to do. I've talked about it in the group before. I have chronic pain, and my mobility is kind of limited the past year or so. So there isn't a whole lot. I can't get out and do a lot. So there's a lot of sitting and doing nothing in my life right now. But having these numbers, it helps me stay on track, even though I can't necessarily exercise all the time, or I can't just get up and go for a walk when I'm bored. I really have to plan that out. It's gonna take all the energy out of me for the rest of the day just walking around the block. Having these numbers really helps. It's just intuitively, like just having it right in front of me. This is the way you're gonna do it. Just do it. Don't question it. Just get the numbers in. You'll be fine. Knowing that as long as I hit those numbers, it doesn't matter how I hit them. As long as I hit them, we're good.
And I think that's solid advice for whether you're a vegetarian or just someone trying to flexibly eat. I think that's solid advice. So I want to just touch base on this other topic. This comes up a lot too, the sense that, go back to work? She's going to sit over there. The fact that I can't afford to eat this way. Flexible eating is too expensive. Now, you put in the group recently that your budget for you, and I believe you have one daughter?
And my husband, yeah.
2 daughters.
I have a 2-year-old, one 2-year-old, sorry.
One 2-year-old and a husband, and you guys eat for under $60 a week. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. We always stay under like $80 a week. Our budget on average is around $60 a week. Every once in a while, I will stock up on things if it's on a really good sale. But that means if I spend $100 that week, I'm spending $60. I'm spending $40 the next week. It's definitely a tight budget that we live by.
So what are some tricks and tools and ways that other people can do that? Because, you know, maybe being a vegetarian helps keep the cost down a little bit because meat might be a little bit expensive. But what are some other ways that people can keep their budget low for food and still be able to follow flexible eating?
Well, I'm also the only vegetarian in the house, so we do still have meat in our budget. So
Okay.
I don't even get to cut that out completely. I still have to deal with that. The big one for me has been where I shop, being really mindful of where I go shopping. Just because Publix is a block down the street does not mean that I should shop there. I usually do most of my shopping at Aldi because you can get generally a dozen eggs there for under $1. They have the little cartons of egg whites for I think like $2. They actually have some decent protein supplements now. They have different bars and they have tubs of protein and whatnot. Joe, stop it. Sorry, child summons again. They have just anything a regular grocery store has, but the price is so much lower. Their produce is really inexpensive. I can get a 3-pound bag of sweet potatoes for 80 cents. So shopping there specifically, I do all my shopping there, see if I'm still within my budget, and if I still have money left over, maybe I'll grab some things they don't carry there at a different store. But the biggest thing for me is just being mindful of where I'm shopping. If you want to keep your budget really low, you might have to drive a little bit further, but it's worth, as long as you're not driving 20 miles. I mean, it's worth it.
Right, as long as you're not spending that difference in gas, it's definitely worth
Exactly, which living in Miami, there's stores everywhere, so I'm pretty privileged in that fact. I can kind of shop wherever I want to. There will be a store somewhere close to me. The other thing too, like if you do, rather you eat meat or not, staying on budget, like putting a little bit of extra money aside that's not in your budget is what we do for meat for my husband. Or for protein bars for me, or something. If there's something that's not generally budgetable into that $60 a week, saving money until you see something go on sale. So that way, if you see something on sale and it's a third of the price that it normally is, I'll buy extra. So we have a pantry that's full of the things that we can't afford on a regular basis. So that way I can keep my budget really, really low. This goes back into the planning that you talk about a lot when people are struggling with getting their numbers and it's 5 o'clock and they've blown their carbs out of the water and they're trying to scramble for protein and fat. That's kind of how it is for groceries with me. It's really planning it, like figuring it out. These are the things I need to eat to hit my numbers. This is the amount of money I have. This is what I have. End of story. It's not, I don't have the option to, at the end of the week, we've run out of groceries, so let's go spend another $80. So I have to do it right at the beginning of the week, just like food planning when you meal prep and you have everything set up. That's how I grocery shop. I prep for the entire week, so that way I know I have this for whatever meals I've already planned to hit my macros, and that's just the way it is. You gotta stay within that budget. I think it's not giving yourself the option to go over is a really big thing too.
I think, you know, your week of food shopping is no different than your day of macros. You have your macro budget, your weekly financial budget for food. Plan ahead and you're going to be successful because you're obviously doing something right. You're living within, you know, potentially people from budget to vegetarianism, soy to a minimum, to, you know, having a 2-year-old around. Those are all things. And at the end of the day, what you're proving is this is doable. This is doable. It's not easy, but it's also not impossible. It's a matter of how important is it to you.
I think that's exactly it. It's not, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's not even difficult. It's hard to explain to people. I have some friends that are just now starting out and they're asking a bunch of questions and trying to figure out how to do it. I'm like, it seems hard. And it will be really hard at first because it's just shifting your mindset. It's understanding what portion sizes really are, like doing things by weight versus doing things by just like, oh, this looks like a cup to me, so that's what I'm going to eat. But you could actually be eating like 3 servings of something. So it's retraining your brain. But once you really stick with it, it becomes second nature. I mean, I've tried to give myself off every once in a while if I've just been like, I'm super irritated, I'm not dealing with this today. And out of habit, I still weigh everything that I eat because I'm just so used to it. I go to get food, I grab my scale, put it on the counter, grab stuff. I don't even think about it anymore.
You know, that's really, really cool. And I'm excited to hear that it's working for you. And I'm excited for other people to see this because, you know, that's probably our biggest obstacle is educating people. And, you know, I mean, you can agree, I'm sure that, like you just said, your friend's like, hey, I want to lose weight. Cool. This is the key. This works. That's too hard. Well, then get the hell out of my face. You know, it's like there is no easy way to lose weight, but this is pretty freaking cool that I get to eat donuts and still lose weight.
Well, exactly. And there are some pretty simple ways to lose weight, but can you keep the weight off? And will your hair not fall out? And will you not feel like complete and utter crap the entire time that you're eating 1,000 calories a day?
Exactly. That's a great way to look at it too, right? Yeah. We can lose weight easier. You're also going to gain it back pretty easy.
Well, gaining and losing the same, 10 pounds wreaks havoc on your body. It is
Absolutely.
so bad for your skin and so bad for your organs to gain and lose that same 10 pounds over and over and over again. I'd much rather, like I'm doing now, just stick with this, lose it. And it's it is work. I mean, it's not hard work, but it does take more time. It takes planning and it takes measuring. I don't just throw a sandwich together and eat it. I mean, I make sure that I'm measuring out portions and tracking everything. But like I mentioned before, I'm pretty immobile most of the time. And since the end of July, I think it was like July 30th or July 31st, whatever is the last day of July. I can't remember at the top of my head. I started the last, I think it's the 31st. Yeah. I started the last day of July and I've lost 33 pounds without exercising. I do yoga every once in a while, but I have not exercised this entire time. And I'm eating like 1750, 100 calories a day, like on average. So I'm not starving myself by any means. And I've still managed to lose over 30 pounds.
That's really awesome, Addie. We are proud of you. That's so cool. I'm going to wrap up this interview, and I want to continue to hear about your success. Enjoy Kentucky. I'm sure it's going to be a little different finding supermarkets all over the place, but.
Yeah, it'll be a little different. The town I'm moving to is pretty okay, but it's a change for sure.
I'm sure you'll enjoy it, but thank you so much for being on. We appreciate all your feedback, and no doubt you are going to be helping countless people with this interview. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for thinking that I have information that is helpful for people. I don't mind answering questions if anyone has questions or vegetarianism or whatnot in the group. I don't mind. I'm always available to be a chatterbox.
Cool. I'll make sure to mention that. Thanks again, Addie. Thank you so much. And she left.